Morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is February the 6th. I'm going to do your spiritual principle day in a meditation. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Okay, here's our meditation for today. It is entitled Unconditional Love in Step 5. Many of us have looked up and seen unconditional love in the lives of the person hearing our fifth step. It works, step 5. From addict to addict, sponsor to sponsor, sponsee to sponsee, there's nothing in NA that all of us experience the same way. There's the popularized or even idealized notion of how things should go. And there's how they actually happen. Many of us resist step 4 because of step 5. The thought of being that vulnerable with someone is scary. And when we hear those wonderful stories of members reading their inventories to their sponsors and immediately feeling relief and acceptance, we may feel more intimidated than reassured. Many of us do have a sponsor whose eyes reflect unconditional love and who says all the right things. But what about tomorrow? Like all other spiritual principles, unconditional love takes work. It's not a snap your fingers moment, a switch we turn, or the perfect moment that stays bright without fail. NA provides a place for all of us, a place where any addict can find hope. We deserve the love of the fellowship, yet that requires the individual effort of members. Unconditional love is more than merely loving someone for who they are, regardless of. Like that sentence. Unconditional love is more than merely loving someone for who they are, regardless of ... right? Fill in the blanks. In the summer, in the sponsor-sponsee relationship, I wish it was summer. In the sponsor-sponsee relationship, loving is more than just accepting. A sponsor shared, unconditional love says that I will invest in your growth no matter what. I intentionally decide to invest in someone regardless of who you are or what you've done. We all deserve that. I also have to be working on myself to loosen and remove the conditions on love that my life experiences have placed there. We don't do it perfectly, and how we express unconditional love isn't uniform from addict to addict or from day to day. Accepting the unconditional love that's offered also takes work. For many of us, the fifth step is an opportunity to do just that. Perhaps even more so, it's the day after when we call our sponsor and they're there for us, just like yesterday. Love is a decision that needs to be made over and over again. I'm willing to take action about that decision today regarding a fellow member and unconditionally express love as best I can. Let's take a moment of silence. That one's deep. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Yeah, unconditional love in step 5. A lot of times I think people do avoid doing step 4 because they're worried about actually having to sit down and read it to someone in step 5. They may feel regret over all that they wrote, or maybe regret over how little they wrote, or they may feel regret about nervousness about the lies that maybe they wrote in their fourth step. And a lot of times what I found is that people, they write their fourth step, but when they sit down with me to actually do their fifth step, they don't, it's not a reading, right? They sort of talk through it. They see the points that they've written and they sort of edit it as they're talking. So a lot of times I will ask them to just read it. Just read it to me as though I was a little kid sitting here listening to a story being read. Just read it without editing. Because when you begin to edit, you take away from the moment and the time and the energy that you invested in doing your fourth step. And editing oftentimes looks like adjusting the truth or omitting, lying by omission, or just plain lying. Editing sometimes comes across as what I have here on this paper. I don't want to share it just like that. I don't want to share that right now. I'm having a reservation about sharing it, even though I wrote it. So let me edit it. Let me surmise it, right? Summarize and put it, summate it rather, and put it in fewer words and make it sound more beautiful than it actually went down on paper. So be careful about trying to edit when you're going over your fifth step. Just acknowledge in the moment, I'm really nervous to read this to you, but I'm going to try, and then go for it. Again, like I say, a lot of people avoid the fourth step because they're worried about the fifth step. And what you want is someone you trust, someone you have a relationship with, someone that has decided to stay connected to you regardless to your good and your bad days. Now, a relationship sometimes can go into a point of abuse, right? Where a person is not cognizant of your core values. They're only aware of their own. And they can cross those lines repeatedly, even though you've reminded them not to. And then, so that's something that's different than someone that is unconditionally loving you and there for you no matter what, right? And that's what you want. You want someone that has a pattern, a history of just being there for you, right? Without judging you. And a lot of times our sponsor, depending on who they are and depending on, their own background, it doesn't look the same. Like this reading is saying, unconditional love doesn't always look the same. It doesn't look the same from person to person. And sometimes it doesn't look the same situation to situation. You can go from having unconditional love to needing to tough love someone. And for them, when you tough love them, it's not going to feel unconditional. It's going to be conditional to them. And in a sense, it is, right? But the whole essence of your love for them has been unconditional. So when you apply tough love, you're saying you've crossed the boundary now, right? So it doesn't look the same. A person can unconditionally love you and apply boundaries, right? That's what I want you to understand. So when you're going to go do your fifth step, you've already sorted this out, who is going to be done with, hopefully. Hopefully you're not doing your fourth step and you don't know who you're going to cover your fifth step with, right? That could be nerve-wracking. Do yourself a favor, right? If that's you and you're thinking about letting your sponsor go because of something else, or you don't have someone in mind to do your fifth step with, I want you to step back from the fourth step, and sort out the person you plan to trust for that. And that is the only time that I would really recommend projecting into the fifth step, right? I want you to have that person lined up. I don't want you going about your fourth step because you might need to ask them some questions about your fourth step, and become comfortable with that fourth step, right? And have like a grid, a foundation with the same person. And if you're not sure that you're going to be able to do your fifth step with your sponsor, I want to know why is that? Is it valid? The reasons that you have, are they valid, or is this something that you conjured up in your brain about because they responded to you a certain way? They're your sponsor. They don't have to sugarcoat everything you're liking all the time. They shouldn't be mean people, but they don't always sugarcoat everything. I just told a friend of mine something. She's not my sponsee, but I was just sharing with her something that was really, I had to make sure that I shared it properly because it was tough information, a tough observation. And she received it with so much kindness, and it just made my day to know that I could say something to someone that I really care about that isn't easy to say, and they respond with respect and love. And so you need to be mindful of that. Your sponsor is not, they don't sit around just trying to figure out every day how to word things for you. Hopefully they show diplomacy. Hopefully they do, but they may not do it perfectly every day, every situation. Don't run from them because of that. If there's some really serious core value issues, right? If there's some real serious issues, or maybe there's been issues of confidentiality being broken, those are things that you need to be considerate about, right? I don't know one person that I've sponsored. I had a friend one time, I broke her confidentiality, and that was in the beginning stages of my recovery. But I don't know a sponsee that can say, I'm trying to go through my brain. I don't know a sponsee that I've had that I've broken their confidentiality. I take it very seriously, and you need a sponsor that is the same. I want you to move forward on your willingness to do the work that you need to do. And remember that accepting unconditional love that's offered to you often takes work because we're filtering that through everything else we know in life, maybe everything we know about that person, right? We're trying to make sense out of it. And that is a normal human tendency. So don't beat yourself up over that, but remember to give other people room, room, right? Love is a decision that needs to be made over and over again. And there's no one that applies unconditional love perfectly to every situation every day. It's not possible. We're human. So remember that and make room for others to err as well as yourself. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. Apologize for my rough voice, but you take care of yourself, and I will be talking to you soon. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to. Bye now.